Hi, welcome to Matt's Garage. Today we're doing some body work on this 1966 Ford Bronco. I got pretty lucky with this thing. There's very little rust on it, but this rear quarter panel had the lip rolled over and then sort of smashed in somehow. I don't know if the tire got caught on it or what, but I'm going to try to repair this, and the first thing I want to do is roll this metal back over. But if you can imagine, if I just grab it and try to pull it up, it's going to want to push this out. So what I want to do is introduce some heat into the edge, and it's sort of like broken in each section. You'll see when I get it up, get it rolled back. But basically to roll each edge back over and then assess whether that can even be repaired or not. A subscriber and friend of mine in Texas, Brian Reilly, he sent me basically from here down one new panel and one really good condition used panel. So if I can't save this, that's sort of plan B, is to graft that in. And then if that ends up being a nightmare, then plan C is to just replace this with a new one. So let's get to work. I've got my gas acetylene torch over here. Let me grab some gloves. I got some water, a spray bottle just to put out any rogue flames. And yeah, I just bought this torch setup used on Craigslist. And I've used it a couple times to torch out this, this screws over here. You see that actually? No, you can't. Up here are the screws. I'm new to gas acetylene. There's a lot of safety tips around it. I've watched a million videos. I used it to loosen up some bolts yesterday. I kind of get it. Main takeaway is it's hot. It's really hot. So you got to be super careful. And it's actually pretty rough on the eyes, so you have to wear the glasses. After I get this lip rolled over and bang this out, then I might also use the oxyacetylene to actually take some of this shrinkage out. But that's level 2. Let's start with level 1. That is the whole inner lip. You can see what I have to work with here. It's just a strange situation. I don't know if that's coming through on camera, but it's a huge improvement. It still needs some work, but compared to what it was, it's just fantastic. That was a great learning experience, but unfortunately plan A is not going to work. This lip is not just bent over, it's really rusty. So I think, not really rusty, but enough that there's no way I could really repair it, and it's pie cut, so there's no way I can fill that realistically. And I don't think I could probably get this hammered out fairly straight, but then I'd still have a lip problem. So if I'm going to weld a lip all along here, I'm thinking it might be better off to just bite the bullet and do a patch panel. This is the panel Brian sent me. It's Dynacorn. It's in pretty good shape. So I'm going to mark out my cut. Basically from damage to damage across this body line. I'm hoping that by staying on the body line, I will minimize the warp factor. Oh, I'm just going back and forth and testing it. Oh, that's pretty close. Let me get my body holder thingies and see if it'll fit up. This is a bigger gap than I would have liked, but still serviceable. So I'm gonna get to welding. Here's where we're at. I suck at body work, so I'm not showing the details because it's pathetic, but I've welded this now twice. I still need to grind this down. I don't really know how to grind it so that I get close to the final contour. Like if I'm supposed to just stop shy and then guide coat and like block to try to figure out what metal to take off, or whether I'm supposed to take the metal off and build it back up with body filler. I mean, I suck at that. But I didn't get any warpage here, so my strategy of doing it on this, even though it's going to be a pain in the butt to clean up on the backside, my strategy to do it on this ridge line has thus far worked out okay. Yeah, I don't really feel anything there. But when I did the fuel filler hole, I got a total pucker right here. Okay, so this is high and this is high. Well, actually, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to be. And this, it dips down here and comes back up all the way, and obviously it gets less here, but it's more here. Maybe even a little bit there. Which tells me this weld is shrunk up. So what I'm gonna do is grind these down, and then do some hammer and dolly work and try to stretch this metal back out. And hopefully that'll loosen this up. But I really don't know what I'm doing. This is the part of cars that I am the worst at. Maybe tied with painting. Let's just call it paint body work is my weakest part. So I don't know. So I'm not gonna show a lot of detail. I'm just basically gonna come back to you and say I screwed it up more, or it's kind of better, or miracle it's better. I don't know. All right, I've basically just been hammer and dollying this, putting a lot of pressure from the backside and all the way around the weld, and this is now popped out. So it looks looking really good. This is low, but that's okay. I mean, I always knew I'd have to build this up at body filler, but I'm just happy that this is now perfectly level. I might try to put some shape into that with some dolly work. It's not easy for me because I truly don't understand how the metal moves. It's like kind of a mystery to me. You know, it's within an eighth, which is like the standard for body filler, right? So I think I am reasonably happy with that. I don't know, we'll have to fill it and then see. So the mistake I made on this one is when I cut the old panel out, right? And then I traced it onto the new sheet metal. And on this side I was right because I cut basically inside the line, because I wanted to have it be like a small gap, or right on the line, really. And then I did the same thing here, and that was a mistake. Here, I should have cut inside the line to shrink that gap down and work my gap up until it was like perfect fit. So just keep that in mind where you're, you know, don't get lost in your template cutting. That's all right, next time. Pretty good though. Pretty good. I've got the passenger side tacked up. This side's going much better because I fit that panel very closely. So it just seems like it's going much smoother. I gotta straighten this out a little bit. This got puckered in from some overzealous hammering, but otherwise it's lining up pretty good. On another note, it's mid-April and it snowed today, so, you know, F that noise. As usual, the shop is a god-awful mess, but I closed up the holes. I did get some puckering along this seam, which is pretty typical. Been banging that out, but otherwise, you know, it's looking good. And then while I was in the mood, I repaired this whole situation here. This is where they had that janky spare tire mount. It had a real low spot, so I just welded a nail on here, and then I made this, basically welded a nut to the bottom of a vice grip for my slide hammer. So I just clamp on that nail with the nut, with a slide hammer, and so that's looking pretty good. Right here, focus. So it's looking pretty good right there. Got a couple more holes to weld up, and then you guys got to see this. I don't know what in the world was going on, but they cut this hole, sorry, the hole next to the big hole, and then the hole right next to it. Like, what were they doing? Like, I can't figure out why somebody would torch a hole that big through the support. So I got to crawl under there and spend some time cleaning up that hole and figuring out how to like recreate that base, which kind of sucks. And then I've got that rust on where the vet goes, you know, right there, a little bit patch there, a couple holes to do. And then I just got notification that my painless wiring harness from Tom's Off-Road is shipped. It was back ordered, so they shipped it, and that'll be here tomorrow. The reason that's important is because the way the 66's harness is not how the new painless ones are, right? The fuse box now in the glove box, like the more modern, like whatever, 69 and above Broncos. So I want to lay that out and figure out which holes in my firewall I want to keep and which ones I need to close up. Because right now I'm in body metal mode. I just want to get all the holes closed up that I want to close up. I want to open up any holes I want to open up, and then grind all my welds down so I'm done with this phase of the project. But that's all I'm going to show is these quarter panels. You know, this was a big what would you do. Most people said replace the whole panel. I'm really happy that I didn't. Thanks again to Brian Reilly for giving me these. And it's going to take a fair amount of, you know, filler to get it perfectly straight, but that's going to be another skill that I'm going to have to work on because I suck at it. But I used to really suck at this kind of welding, and I've like the difference between this side and that side is like night and day. And this isn't even the first one I've done. It was just, I don't know, something about all my previous experience and then all the videos I've watched. You know, the trick is get that gap super tight, cool it down after every, you know, bead or two beads or tacks, and then hammer, dolly, get the stress out of the metal, and somehow, and pick a spot that's along a ridge where there's some strength to the panel so it resists that warping. Like you know, like the work I got here. I still have some work to do on that, but otherwise, you know, it's coming along. The other thing I want to do is put weld nuts in here so I can take the top on and off without having to reach under and secure the nuts underneath. So that's it for Matt's Garage.